Buona domenica. Ciao a tutti. Good morning if you're watching this on Sunday. Ciao, Alfred in Sicily. And I'm here somewhere in the Boston area. Came home to visit my mom, but I heard there's big stuff going on in Sicily, including Mount Etna that's been going crazy. She's been blowing smoke and lava all, well, she's covered. What a majestic view that is.
It's what they call caldo dopo freddo. First it blew lava, and then last night it snowed up there. Can you imagine that? And the Arctic air is coming in from the mainland, so it is pretty cold here today. By definition, I'm talking about 46, 47 degrees, not, below zero, but it's enough to wear a coat and everything else, that stuff. It's chilly.
All right, I'm going to try and put up some pictures while you talk, but this is, this Etna erupts every once in a while. It's something that people of Sicily just live with, especially on the East Coast. They learn how to live with. People often ask me, hey, are you worried? People send us messages. And by the way, thank you to everyone who sends us messages of concern and so forth when Etna arrives. But um, thankfully, right now, it's pretty well contained onto one crater where it's falling into one crater. And there's enough of, I want to say, safety system where there's many, this word I'm going to butcher, volcanologists. Did I say that right? Watching Etna.
The guys who
Guys that
study volcanoes.
volcanoes, watching Etna from all angles. So she's one of the most observed and one of the most active volcanoes in the world.
Well, actually, Stromboli exploded too, which
That's
is off
right.
the coast. Yeah, off the coast by Messina, way up top over there in the islands. And that was another majestic explosion where there was pictures and newspaper articles all over the place. And the actual yesterday, the airport was actually closed down for a couple hours, Esther, and flights were actually diverted until the big ash cloud went by. It's
Really?
crazy. Yeah, yeah.
All right, Al, I'm gonna just try and upload. Let's see if this works. If not, we're gonna put another picture up there. Okay, looks like I'm not gonna be able to upload that beautiful picture, but if you can just imagine Etna covered in white and red, I would say explosions all over the place when you get up close. And just a reminder for everyone that the lava explosion in the 1600s, 1690s happened. It took about 90 days for the lava to flow from Etna to Catania, because of course Catania was covered. A lot of the East Coast, a lot of towns were covered, but it was such a slow and molasses type of flow that it took a while to cover Etna. So that's the Etna news. And Al, I hear
Yeah.
the weather has been cool this
Esther,
summer.
just to remind you, is that the lava is not going to kill anybody. I don't think there's ever been anybody actually killed by lava in
Reminder.
Sicily. What kills people is like what happened up in Vesuvius, the volcanic gases that explode, and then afterwards, that's the thing that kills with the
Right.
gases, and then also the subsequent heavy ash fall. Those are the things you have to worry about. Can we get out of here? That's a more interesting question. What are you and I going to do since we're only 10 miles away from the volcano? Yeah, do you have an escape route? Because I have an escape route. Uh,
Tell us about the escape route, Al.
okay, the first thing we do is we both open our legs, we put our head between our legs, and we kiss our butt goodbye. And then what we do is we go down to Catania and we try to get to Siracusa and go south. We're not going to go north. We're not going to go by the volcano for sure. And that's it. And I also think we're going to have to take some side roads if possible because the A18 will be loaded with people. So maybe something like the A14, 14114, or one of the side roads. But or else we could take a boat. Who? What do you think, Bunny? You could row? No?
That, okay, Al. At least you have some idea. Anyway, so I asked you about the weather, and of course, the weather is always affected on the East Coast when Etna is erupting, especially because, as you mentioned, the clouds have to pass. But it's been unusually cold. Well, after we went through an unusually warm spell, it's been unusually cold for November, right, Al?
Well, it's
What is
been
the low
starting off
temp?
right now. No, I mean, last week was pretty good. It got into the mid 60s all week. But what happened was we had 2 bad days of rain, and the rain caused the temperature to change. Okay. We had rain, I think it was Wednesday and Thursday, or Thursday and Friday. I can't remember. But this cold front is coming from northern Italy coming down, and it's supposed to go away allegedly by Tuesday. But the one thing that I've learned about the meteorologists in Italy versus the meteorologists in the United States is these guys here are actually more wrong than the guys in the United States who are virtually always wrong. So we never believe what the meteorologists say or what's going to be printed, except if there's like a red alert. If there's a red alert, it gets our attention. That's like when there's an imminent flood or something like that. How do you feel
Uh,
about that?
well, as you know, I was in the TV business for a long time, and we used to say, the meteorologists, we used to joke with them all the time. They're the highest paid personalities and they could make any mistake they could, right? Because they always get it wrong.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty
I want
much.
to
But
ask you a
you know,
question
you
before we go on
at
with the
the
rest of the show. What have you been doing in the United States of America?
well, let me finish because at the end of the day, it's Mother Nature, and we can't control her or
Yeah,
predict
yeah.
her sometimes, right? I just want to say something about um, say hello to all our community watching with us together live, and Paul was saying he is uh, looking. Oops, he was going to be no. Um, Trying to closer to Etna when I move to Acitrezza. You will be Acitrezza is on the foothills of Mount Etna, and Acitrezza is one of the places we feature a lot here on our channel. Those are the first aqua volcanic activities that happened in Sicily from the water. So what happened that were in the Eurasian plates, and those plates started moving. And of course, what happened when plates are moving? Energies release, gases, and that's when the eruption started many thousand years ago, even before Etna. But there's a
I want to
little
ask
bit
you a
of
question, Esther. What are you going to do? Because all the news reports saying that is that Mount Etna is slowly moving towards the Ionian Sea. It's moving at the rate of 1 inch every 10,000 years.
Mother
Who cares?
Nature
Why would
and its
somebody
glory.
make a story about the volcano moving every 10,000 years, 1 inch? They have not, out of all the stories to talk about,
That's
that's the
one.
one they got to talk about?
Well, let's not talk about it then.
All
Once
right.
Etna erupted and I had to leave from Palermo, yeah, that happens a lot. Flights are diverted, so that's definitely something
Yeah,
that happens.
they got
Jennifer wants
diverted
to
to
know.
Comiso yesterday too.
Jennifer wants to know, how does the eruption affect flights arriving into Catania? I arrive on Wednesday. Hopefully she settles down. So that
Yeah, it
happens
settled
all
down.
the
They're
time.
reopened today. They're reopened today. It all has to do with the ash stuff. If the ash is coming this way and blocks the radar so that the ground control can't guide the planes in, they have to close it until the ash passes. But there's no ash now.
So the way this works, Jennifer, just so you know, actually one of our guides, Juicy, her husband is works with some people who study the volcano, that word volcanologist. And what he told us is that at 3 a.m. every single day, the Catania airport gets a report about which way the airplanes should go around Etna, because the airport is very near. You have to go around or near Etna to get to it. So at 3 a.m., each pilot is notified, the airport is notified about which route to take, because maybe her smoke is going east or west, or whichever way the smoke is going, they can predict which route the airports take. Now, there have been instances over the years since we've been coming and going that Etna has affected air travel. but it's not something that happens every day, every week, maybe happens every few months. Probably the last time was back in August, if I remember correctly. There was an Etna eruption, and there was so much ash that was spewing that the airport in Catania had to be closed, and I was diverted to the Trapani airport. So it does happen, and they do their best to divert planes and have them land in different spots. So it's, it's not like it's going to get canceled. Your flight will probably be diverted, but I'm hoping, Jennifer, you arrive with no problem. And as Al said, it's already open.
You know, Esther, this whole thing is starting, I believe, this is just my theory. It's called an Al theory, is that it's coming from the one in Iceland, the big super volcano. Because typically that one's about ready to go. And if that goes, I remember, I don't know how many years ago, 2010 it was, that sent the whole, that tripped off other volcanoes to, volcanic, whatever you call them, and the ash closed down. I think the airlines lost several $billions in lost revenue because of flight cancellations and delays.
What's that
So,
saying? When you throw a pebble in the water and the ripple effect, or was it a butterfly? But there's some
yeah.
kind of a thing. Of course, nature works that way. Something happens in one part of the world, and there's a ripple effect for sure. We've got some Boston fans in here, so great to see. Joe and his wife Michelle created a beautiful Thanksgiving because he sent me videos. Um, and pictures of their Thanksgiving in Capri in Sicily. We had a great Thanksgiving hosting 12 of our friends, 3 couples, and 4 children. And hey, Joe, did you give that gift that you got? Joe got a beautiful gift to one of his friends in one of their Sicilian friends, and he bought an olive tree memorial. And olive tree memorials is a program that we have here that where you buy a tree and one of our farms across Sicily plants it, and it can be a gift for a family. It can be a birthday gift, a wedding. It's been given as a wedding gift. There's many ways that you can gift an olive tree planting in Sicily. So you think about it, it's really a win-win thing. You're helping Mother Nature. You're helping a local grove, olive grove. You're giving a beautiful gift. And so there it is, Olive Tree Memorial. If you have any questions, message or email me as well. And we have farms right now in Sheffield, Diana, in the province of Palermo. We have one in Piazza Armerina. Where else do we have it? We have one in Montedoro. We're looking for one in Siracusa. So that's our olive tree memorial.
Don't we have one in Tuscany? Or did we used to have one in Tuscany?
We are working on one in
Ah,
Tuscany
okay.
as well. So
Why don't
that's
you ask me about my Thanksgiving turkey, as they say over here?
how is
Say,
your Thanksgiving turkey in Sicily?
well, as you know, the turkeys here are about as big as an ostrich. They're the biggest things you ever see. But surprisingly, what they do in all the butcheries here is they chop them up and they sell them in the market kind of like piecemeal. So if you want a drumstick, you buy a drumstick. If you want white meat, but you're not going to be able to find, at least in the markets we go to, like a frozen turkey. There's no, forget about it. Unless you special order it, then you can do it. So, anyways, I'm by myself here. So I asked our friends, Fabio and what's her name, Simona, to make me a chicken breast, turkey breast for Thanksgiving, and to pick it up at noontime. I picked it up noontime on Thursday, along with a bunch of fixings that they had for me. But evidently, the message got crossed, and what they took was a drumstick and they sliced it kind of like a cutlet. And I had a cutlet drumstick. And so first and last time I'll ever do that. It was thin. It looked like a cutlet, but it tasted.
Well, Joe said that him and Michelle, they bought, am I getting this right, Joe, that you got a female turkey and it was much smaller? Anyway, so that's
You got a whole
Thanksgiving
one?
spat. They got a whole one. The video they sent was of a whole one.
Wow.
So
I remember one time many years ago, I got one from Sigonella. It was one of those guys that was frozen in nitrogen. It took 3 days. It took 3 days for it to thaw, And by the time it unthawed, it filled up my whole sink. And I realized that the bird was bigger than my stove. So I ended up cutting it up into pieces just like they do. And I cooked it with the rosemary, olive oil, salt, and pepper, and did it like my mom used to do it. It's great. And
I
cooked
love
the stuffing on the side.
I love that we get to learn all these things for our expats, even though Al's been coming and going for over 20 years and I've been coming and going for 10 years. We still learn stuff. Joe said we got two female turkeys, and I'm telling you right now, Al, they look not more than, I would say, 8 to 10 pounds, Joe. Is that correct? So that's a
Small
fun
guys.
thing to know. Fun
Well,
thing.
you know what I have in the freezer waiting for you when you come back is I got another lobster. So now we have two lobsters frozen in the refrigerator, and we're going to make that Fra Diavolo sauce as soon as you come back with the spaghetti and the way we make our sauce. And we're each going to get a lobster. And by definition here, a lobster is about a half a pound. They're from Canada, frozen on the trawlers and brought over here. But they're tiny little guys. I mean, the claws are about that big, but they're enough to give good flavor to, reminiscent of what it is to eat a lobster in New England. So Esther and I, that'll be one of our first meals when she comes here. Have you had a
Well,
lobster there, by the way?
that'll be your meal. That's the last meal that I'm having. The first meal
What's your
I want
first
to
meal going to be?
first first 2 weeks I want to go back to eating good Sicilian food, fruits and vegetables and fish. So the lobster will not be on my plate for at least another month or so. But
Okay.
you bring up a good point out, and you talk about lobster because you miss lobster. Lobster is one of the things that you miss, and so if you're going, why is he talking about lobster? The reason he's talking about lobster in Sicily is that if you order a lobster at a restaurant, expect to pay over $100, if not 200 for whatever. Maybe you're getting pasta with lobster or something like that, but it's a very costly, very rare to find. You can find it. I'm going to tell you that you can find it, but it is very costly. And so when first time I remember Al uh, found a lobster in the freezer in one of our supermarkets, we went in crazy over it. But we talk about things that we miss about this channel and so forth. And I have to say that hands down, the biggest thing that I miss when I'm in Sicily is my family and friends. For sure, these past few days, reconnecting with them and being home, there's nothing like home. And, I call Sicily my home and where my mom is my home. So it is definitely something that I'm reminded now that I'm home, that I'm thankful to be living in Sicily. I'm thankful for the opportunity to share Sicily with you, to come to you every week to talk about Sicily. But at the end of the day, the family is so important, right, Al?
Well, you want to know something? That plane goes both ways. And the good thing about a plane is you can get on it and you can get back to Massachusetts real quick. And you could stay there. And the same thing with me. I make it a point to go home twice a year for 2 weeks. To me, that's plenty. Unlike Esther, my kids are like zip, like you're experiencing with the Naomi right now. The kids are going like this with all their things that they have to do, and mm, I expect them to spend more time with me. But guess what? They're fully invested in athletics, school, social.
Kids
So
are, as
I
kids
mean that's how
age
life
are.
is. So would you agree if I say to this sentence, Esther, that life in the United States is far more fast paced than it is in Sicily? Would you agree with that?
Not everywhere, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because Sicily has, although there are parts that move slow as molasses, and one of the things that makes it so attractive for me is that the pace of life is much slower. A lot of things are much simpler. I like simple things. I like things slow. I like the old tradition and culture and leaving things like that. And that sector of Sicily still exists. There are still places in Sicily, believe it or not, where uh, the streets are still so thin. They're cobblestone streets, and you harken back to a different era, not just visually, but also with the people, right? but there is a growing sector in Sicily where it is fast-paced. The taxi moms, they're going from one sport to music to another. The family's always working, running, going. In fact, the majority of my girlfriends live a life like that. They have children and they're running around doing errands, driving, making, taking care of their husbands who are at work for many, many hours. And you take a look, Alfred, at uh, downtown Catania, downtown Palermo, those places are fast paced, but underlying that, there is, um, I like to call it controlled chaos, right? Controlled chaos in the city. So,
Here,
Al, I mean, if
here's a
you
big
talk,
difference.
wait a second. If you talk about, I haven't been downtown Boston. I do have to go downtown next week. So I haven't been since February. So, I mean, the US has been so-called fast-paced for a long time, but Sicily is starting, a lot of Sicilian families are starting to get into that mode of living as well.
Well, here's the biggest difference for me, okay? When I was a kid, I was outside all the time playing baseball, football, basketball, sports in general, okay? We used to have to come in when the street lights came on. But we used to go down to the public park and have a pickup game of baseball or football, whatever it is. Today, kids uh, have a if I wanted to have a pickup game, a bunch of my friends, there aren't any fields available because all the private sports organization have all the fields taken up. Here in Sicily, there's vast fields where any kid that wants to play a sport can play a sport by himself. Not only that, but there are more sports offering, especially aquatic sports like water polo, swimming, stuff like that, tennis, pickleball, you name it, that kids do here that I think they far more than in the United States. I mean, that's just my opinion, okay? I
Wait,
don't know how you
that,
feel about that,
say
but
that one more time.
that's how I see it
Say that one more time. So you think there are more sports available where?
here in Sicily. And the reason is because the venues are more, there's more offering for venues for kids to play ball, play football, baseball, basketball. There are fields all over the place that kids can pick up a baseball bat and a glove and have a nice game. Try to do that in Massachusetts. Some public official will come and kick you off and say that the field is reserved for somebody. It's very difficult unless you
Well,
play on the street.
yeah. Well, here's what I do know in Sicily that uh, a lot of the piazzas, a lot of the public gardens, children on weekends, on evenings, and after school, it is very usual to see a bunch of kids just picking a soccer ball up or football and
Yeah,
just kicking it around in the piazza, biking, and that's one of our favorite things to do, to go, for example, to Aci Castello, sit in the piazza and walk the women and men arm in arm, the elderly or even just couples walking and doing the passeggiata, or kids playing soccer, biking, roller skating. So, but Alfred, there are not as many fields available as there are here in the United States. So, for instance, a lot of the high schools in the United States, they have a track field, a football field, a baseball field that does not exist in Sicily.
yes, but
Schools
that's
got
part of
that.
organized. The whole point I'm trying to make is those are
Yeah.
all organized sports. Try to get on the football field at the public high school without some type of a permit. They'll kick you right off. The same thing with the varsity baseball field or varsity basketball. You have to have a permit to play. And from its little league, Babe Ruth, traveling teams, whatever, that's what the story is now in the United States. It's become a big industry, a really big industry. Over here, it's not. Over here, it's really not. I don't see it.
Well, well, first of all, soccer is a huge industry. But Adrian said, Alfredo, the sports culture is way bigger in the north of Italy than the south. Everyone goes running and hiking. Actually, a lot of our friends also
I
go
agree with
walking.
that. I agree with that.
Well, a lot of our
I agree
friends,
with that.
we have the Lunga. If you look at the Lungomare, in Ognina, which is between Catania and us. They're already building another lane. There was a bike and walking lane, which was built, I think, probably, Al, would you say 4 or 5 years ago? It was
That's
definitely
it. They already outgrew it.
and now they're enlarging it because there is such a demand um, in our area for lanes for running and walking um, and also biking. So it is a growing sport. A lot of athletes, and believe it or not, there's people that swim year round in Sicily, year round. So of course, the water sports are also very big.
Let me ask you a question before you continue. I know that you eat, vegetables are your go-to type of food. What's the big difference you've seen in the prices between vegetables there
It's a
as opposed to
huge difference.
vegetables here?
It's a huge difference, but
Huh?
it's a huge difference, and we've talked about this multiple times that, sticker shock every time I come home. But I do have to say that also in Sicily, we've seen significant 30, 40% inflation increases in the food prices. So it's not like it's just happening in the United States. It's just that we started from a lower price level, right? So the increase, we don't feel the difference as much, but I can definitely see it here. I mean, it's just you guys watching wherever you're watching, I'm sure you've seen huge increases in supermarket and food prices. So the
Well, the
good
big
thing about it
tragedy
is
right now for the holidays in Sicily, in my view, is the fact that there aren't any readily available artichokes to buy. I mean, this time last year or in years
disaster.
past, you'd be drowning in artichokes for some bizarre
That's a
reason. There aren't
disaster.
any.
No,
They're small.
it's because of the weather. It's because of the weather. Um, the roasted artichokes that you guys know if you've been watching long enough is one of my favorite. It's stuffed with garlic, parsley, olive oil, and lemon, and uh, grilled or uh, cooked in a open fire on a coal fire. So that's one of my favorite things. And it hasn't been available, but that has to do with the weather, Alfred, because we had a
Well, I
very
think it's
inclement
unconstitutional
storm.
that they won't have artichokes. They have to get some artichokes and bring them in here. That's for sure. I think you have to have it. I mean,
You know
right
what?
now, listen, things are now starting this week. What's been popping up is the whole Black Friday, Christmas
Mad,
stuff that, every
yeah,
year it's getting more and more and more. And driving around last night, driving around the last couple of nights, there's actually people decorating outside, with lights and stuff,
yeah,
which is like bizarre considering that the price of electricity is way more expensive here than it is in the United States. It's like triple the electricity. But on the other side of the story, there are a lot more nativity scenes in public places and in churches, of course, in front that are just spectacularly beautiful. Uh, Come to mind, Esther. We have to go up to Caltagirone to see the the ones over there. I understand that
the
town is like
nativity scene.
festooned right
So
now.
what Al's talking about is that Caltagirone is a ceramic town where they have one place, actually one of the churches has a nativity scene that's up year long. And then during the Christmas time, they have a very organized um, event that happens every day. And you buy a ticket and you can enter 12, 15 nativity scenes, all with different themes and so forth. So Caltagirone, you guys are looking for a place to go to see something very unusual. And also there's the stairs of the Santa Maria Scala, which is 146 steps, each with individually designed ceramic. But there's a few questions here, and I want to
Sure.
answer. Peter wants to know if I tried the garlic and potatoes. These are the best garlic I've ever had in my life, Peter Scipoletti. Peter, our in-house farmer, and we did use some of the potatoes for the mashed potatoes, so that was great. James says I can remember um, when along the Lungomare you had bicycles dodging in between cars. Runners were taking um, taking their lives in their own hands, and now there is designated land. So yes, for sure, come a long way. Jennifer wants to know, have the festivities in Catania begin? Yes, they have. So let me talk a little bit about that. Catania has a magnificent Christmas market. When I say magnificent, magnificent. If you go to our playlist, Explore Sicily, and you go back to a year ago, there's a whole video that shows you some of the things that are available during the Christmas market. And you know what? Who knows? When I'm back there next week, maybe we'll go and do another video showcasing what is going on at the market. But a lot of the same vendors go a year and year after
Remember a
year.
few years ago, they actually had an ice skating rinky when it was really cold.
Yep,
Right? Remember that?
yep.
Great, it was great.
Hey, Al, our Patriot games, my Giants versus Patriots at 1 p.m. Eastern time, USA.
Yeah, well,
Hmm.
I'm torn today because I might just very well root for the Giants because they have an Italian kid as the quarterback. Listen to this, Esther. He lives
Where?
with his mother and the New York Giants. He lives with his mother and father. And he says, "What are you crazy? I'm not going to move out. My mother cooks for me. She has cutlets for me and stuff when I go home." And he's now the quarterback of the New York Giants, an Italian kid, a
Cool.
rookie. So I just might root for them today. Frankly, I mean, Patriots
What?
stink this year. Yeah,
There you go. You heard it right here first. All right, I want to say
go
a couple
Giants.
quick things. That's just a couple of quick things.
Go ahead.
Uh, that since I'm home, I do have a few of these uh, t-shirts available. You guys are interested? Very few sizes. These are mediums. I think I have some large, extra large. I also have this color. And the other good thing is that I have only very, very, very limited long sleeve shirts like this available. Unfortunately,
Turn
the
it
hat
around.
out.
You have to turn
uh,
it around.
This is a large, the long sleeve shirt. Can you,
I actually have one on right now, the blue one underneath
the
my
blue one.
I
And then,
yeah.
unfortunately, the hat Alfred is wearing, we're out of stock. Now, the other thing, if you could go underneath in our shop, so you're watching this on YouTube, there's our merchandise shop, and there's hats, there's t-shirts, there's aprons, there's tumblers, there's all types of things, hoodies. Well,
Panettone, olive oil.
no, that's a different shop.
Oh,
That's
we
the
how many
Amazon.
shops we have? Two shops?
We've got this shop, we've got the YouTube shop, the Amazon shop, and if you don't know about the Amazon shop is under You, Me, and Sicily. You, Me, and Sicily, and those are products that Alfred and I personally picked and collected and put together a list for you. We make maybe 10, 20, maybe maximum 30 cents on the item, but these are things that we put together in our shop that we think you would like. These are items that we use. These are items, a lot of them made by our friends. So those are things that we have maybe in our house, like I put the juicer up there. But people always say to me, which olive oil should I use? What are the best panettones? What are the best olives? What are the best honeys? This, that, the other. So we put together that list, and that's also in the description of this video. So the Amazon link is over there. So that's a little bit, it's a perfect time, right? If you guys are starting to look for Christmas. And then one more item that's really important is I have the sterling silver Trinacria pendants only available for the next week, and we're doing a special. A They're $57 each instead of 67. That includes shipping, handling, and everything. And that's that.
I have to make an announcement. Could I make an announcement? I have actually two. The first announcement is I want to give a huge shout out to the following people: Giovanni Lanza, Presidente of the Sicilian Project; Stefania, who's done a great job coordinating; two wonderful teachers in Kanikati, Bridget and Kelly, who have done another marvelous job. working with over 40 kids. Yesterday was their last class. And if you want to see the work that they've done, simply go to the SicilianProject.com website, or if you're on Facebook, go look what these kids have done. They're turning it into magic. Now we have to get ready in January for a huge one, another huge one in Catania with Father Carmelo, where Esther leads a group of 6 or 7 teachers to work with these people. So I want to give a big shout out and a tip of my hat to that. And then the other thing I want to say is we got our first deposit for our February Carnivale trip. Esther, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, let me just answer real quick. So, James, if you go to Amazon and you type in Yumi in Sicily, or in the description of this video, there's a link to our Amazon shop. And actually, Jim Ingram, I'm very interested to hear about what else you would add into that shop. Now, this is interesting. Now we're talking about a little bit more football. What about if Bailey Zappa starts at QB for the Pats? Al?
For who?
Bailey
If
Zappa,
Bailey Zappa starts for, if there was a guy by the name of Bailey Zappa, then I would obviously root for the Pats. You know who I do root for? I do root for MJ Zappa, who plays for Austin Prep, my grandson, or my other granddaughter who just celebrated her 18th birthday yesterday, Rose, up in Berwick, MVP of this JV soccer or something like that. I'm very
awesome.
happy about that. But Esther, tell me about the
So the
February thing.
tour, February 4 to 14, and if you extend it, you could be spending Valentine's with us. We're going to do Carnivale. It's going to be based on Carnivale in Acciariale, one of the towns that we love to go to. It is one of the biggest carnivales in Sicily. The oldest one is in Sciacca. So Carnivale, just like Venice, has been around for a very, very long time. And it's a great celebration. There's a lot of floats made by hand, different themes, and I can't remember this year's theme, but there's always some kind of environmental, political, or satire, or some type of maybe film theme. And each one of the clubs create floats, and then they float them up and down the streets of Acirali, and you can judge them. And of course, there's plenty of street food. People are wearing costumes and masks. There's music. It's really a fun party. That's exactly what it is, a fun party. And then, of course, on February 4th and 5th is the Festival of San Agatha. Now, we're not going to go downtown for exactly that, but we'll go to some of the celebrations that will be taking place around
Do we
and
have a Black
after.
Friday deal for these people if they want to come? Well, we're
We
running a
have a
special right now,
Black
right?
Friday, which, by the way, we have extended it to December 1st, where only for Carnivale, $250 off per person if you sign up until December 1st.
So I wanted to give a couple more shout outs if I possibly can. My
Let's
friend
ask,
Bernie,
let's
our friend
get
Bernie
back.
Sapienza is coming next week, Esther. And do you remember my CD collection that I started with like 4 CDs several months ago?
I
Now I
tell you,
have a bunch more. He's going to bring a bunch of CDs for me.
that's gonna be crazy because I'm bringing 30 CDs myself.
Well, all right. I'm
And
telling you what,
I'm
having music
warning you
on the
right
deck at nighttime is
now.
just
I'm,
wonderful.
I'm warning you right now. Whether you like it or not, there's going to be a lot of ABBA. There's playing. There's going to be a lot of Rolling Stones, a lot of that type of music.
But you
And I'm
told me
going to
you
be
have
leaving.
Vivaldi's Four Seasons, right?
I told you I have
All
Vivaldi's
right.
Four
Christmas is
Seasons.
not Christmas for me without listening to Vivaldi all the time. And you also are bringing back one that I ordered, Tom Petty and the
Wait a
Heartbreakers'
second.
greatest
Wait
hits,
a
right?
second.
I'm
Forget
good to
about
go.
Vivaldi. I've got spring down on my cello, right? Spring I've got down pretty good. Winter's going to take me a while to learn, but I'm going to perfect on my cello spring. So we'll have to do. I'm going to
Esther,
play
we
you a
have to have,
concert.
I dare you by Christmas time to put up a little, what do you call it, video of some of your cello, even if it's the Christmas songs for them to see what
Well,
I
those
see every
all
day.
right.
It'd
Okay.
be
All right.
great. It'd be great.
All right. Do you carry sweet almond syrup to make latte de mandorla? We do not have that in our shop. And actually,
We
that's
can get that.
latte de mandorla is best made with the marzipan, with the almond that's in a, what is that called, Al? You know, when we buy it in that little,
It's like
and
a
you're
big.
supposed to
It
soak
looks
it
like
in
a piece of
water.
butter. Yeah, it looks like.
Exactly,
And then
exactly.
but they
Pesto.
they they sell that almond syrup.
It's
You
pasta
should
de
be able to
mandorla.
get the almond syrup and put it on for them, and
I'll
also
look
the
for it.
lemon syrup.
Hey,
There's
I'll
like
look for
4 of them.
that
Yeah,
because
I'll
I
look for them
actually
today.
yeah, I have pistachio almond pesto and crema in there,
Yeah,
also
but that's
honey.
something different what this woman wants. Yeah, that's not what
Yeah.
she wants. She wants the big
Um,
bottle. You could use it as a flavoring too.
that's right. You know about that big bottle.
Yeah,
Um, Jim, the wonderful thing about Sicily is that there are so many small farmers producing honey, marmalade, veggies, etc. I always enjoy driving around and buying from them. That's so true. Uh, Michelle, hi. Oh, oops. There's little conversation going. Oh, it's called panetto to make pasta de mandorla. But there's also that syrup that you like in the summer, that long one, and then
yeah.
has
And
that
what
top.
you do is, yeah, you take a little bit and you mix it with water, and it's a
Yeah.
refreshing summer drink. They have it in lemon. They have it in bergamot. They have it there, like 3 or 4 different flavors. It's good stuff. But they also have that at a good. They have that also at good quality delis in the United States. That I know. I mean, you can buy it there. There are several brands that are available from Italy in the United States already with that stuff. And hey, before I forget too, we have to give a shout out to Joe and Sue Ascione, who have a huge anniversary this week.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't
You
remember
know,
how many years. It's either
one of
40
our
or
oldest
45 years. It's like a long time.
Joe and Sue are one of our oldest and one of our first Yumi and
Yeah,
Sicily clients, probably 2016 or 17. Boy, I can't believe next year marks our 10 years that we've been doing Yumi in Sicily. Can you
we
believe
have to
that?
get. We have to have some type of a special contest and give away some type of a huge prize for our 10th anniversary, Esther. I mean, it only comes every 10 years.
All
So
right, you guys.
I have to think
So
about
for
that.
anyone watching, if you have any ideas for us, not about the prize, but what kind of a contest we should do. Maybe we should do one of those contests about questions about an old video, because you know we have over 400 videos, not
Oh
just
my
live like
God.
this, but pre-produced videos. So maybe we'll do some like do 10 questions from old videos and see who comes out for it. I don't know. That's just an idea. All right.
Well, in any
Where
case,
when the Christmas markets in Catania end, they end January 6th, so after the Befana. A free trip to Sicily. Vince, good one. Thank you, Peter Scapoletti. Peter Scapoletti always has our back. He's always
I
reminding
love
people,
that guy. I love
much
him. They're just great people.
good people. I love this whole community that we have here. Uh, so Al, you asked me a little bit about what I've been doing. I've been, you know, doing family stuff. It was Thanksgiving, doing a lot of that, meeting with friends, meeting with family. Thankfully, the weather hasn't too crazy, a little bit cool. Then getting ready to go back to the States. And one of the first things to the States, to Sicily, and one of the first things I'm going to say and do after giving you, Al, a big, huge hug and a kiss is thank the Lord that I'm able to go to Sicily and work there and be with Alfred and my friends. So I'm feeling blessed. I'm always, whenever I arrive, I say, hey, thank you, God.
Let's hope that the weather stays good over there, that you don't see any snow.
Here,
That's not a good
you
thing,
know
yeah.
what?
I mean,
I only have a few more days. If it snows, hey, it snows, it's okay.
yeah.
Par for the course, right? Um, so, oh, any more questions for you guys? If not, Alfredo, grazie mille,
Joya.
and grazie you
But
guys for
I
being
want to
here.
say one other thing. When you
Come
come back, though, I want to go to the World War II Museum, and we could do like a thing, the World War II Museum, and then also go to the Christmas market either, right close to
on.
each other.
100% do that. But listen, we have to
Yeah,
do it. We've been talking about it, and now we just have to do it.
let's just do it, baby.
You guys have a great, great day wherever you're watching. Be blessed, be safe, be happy, and have a great week. And we'll see you on another video of You, Me, and Sicily. Ciao. Ciao,
Ciao,
Al.
ciao. The Benediga.